Zoey, heartbroken after learning about Blaine's supposed wedding, returns to the city. Unexpectedly, she encounters Blaine at the bus station. He offers her a ride, and they engage in a tense and awkward journey. Upon arriving at the hospital where Zoey works, the truth about Blaine's marital status is revealed. He is not married. What is the truth behind Blaine's words? Why did he lie about his marital status? And what are the implications of this revelation for Zoey, who is still grappling with the emotions surrounding his supposed wedding?
Blaine wasn't married. The words exploded inside Zoey's mind like a bomb. Her heart seemed to stop and race all at the same time. Yesterday morning, Sophia's grandfather had a heart attack before the wedding even happened. The wedding's been postponed for 3 months to give Sophia's family a chance to grieve. Zoey would be lying if she said she didn't have a trace of joy in her heart when she heard this news. Sure enough, love is selfish. My shift is starting, so I'll leave you here. Blaine left without looking back. Watching him leave, Zoey suddenly felt that the day had become a bit sunnier. Zoey wheeled her suitcase as she headed upstairs to see Max. When Luna saw her approaching, she quickly stood up. "Zoey, it's great that you're back. I was just about to call you." Zoey's heart sank when she saw Luna's anxious look. "What's wrong? Has something happened?" she asked in alarm. "Zoey, it's okay. Don't be scared. But Max is not in his room. He's been taken to the ER because of complications." Luna's words caused Zoey to halt her steps abruptly. Taking a deep breath, she held back the tears in her eyes and hurried toward the emergency room. Her heart was beating so fast. No one knew how dark it was to live every day in fear. She tried her best every day, but her best wasn't helping Max. Zoey spent the rest of the day in a daze. Sitting on a chair outside the ICU, Zoey repeatedly reminded herself to stay strong. "Zoey." Matthew walked out of the ICU. Zoey rushed over to him. "How is he?" Matthew gestured for Zoey to sit down as he took off his mask and held it in his hand. "Max is pretty good. It's not as serious as we thought." His voice was hoarse to the point where it sounded harsh. Then he grabbed Zoey's ice-cold hand and held it in his warm, big one. Zoey, if you don't need to in the future, don't go on any more business trips. I've missed you so much these past few days." "I'm sorry." Zoey burst into tears the moment she heard this. Tears gushed out of her eyes. "This situation will never happen again. I won't ever leave Max again. I'll always stay by his side." Matthew gripped Zoey's hand tighter and tighter. Zoey was stunned, and her face paled. "Matthew, your words, do you mean?" Zoey couldn't get the words out, but she didn't need to. She could see from the look on Matthew's face that she needed to stay close, because Max may not have much time left. Zoey began sobbing. As a mother, she couldn't say the words aloud. Matthew pursed his lips and didn't say anything. He knew that Zoey had understood what he was trying to tell her. Zoey shook her head as tears streamed down her cheeks. She did not dare to imagine what her life would be like without Max. She couldn't imagine never hearing him call her mommy again. "Matthew, is there anything else I can do for him? I don't want him to leave. I can't let him leave." Zoey was begging like a child for a new toy, but she knew Matthew couldn't magically solve Max's illness. Matthew let out a long sigh, hesitated for a while, then said, "Zoey, we've been waiting a long time for a blood marrow donor, and we still haven't found a suitable match. This no longer seems like a viable solution, the waiting and hoping." As Matthew said this, he pursed his lips with difficulty. "Actually, there's still a way. It's just that..." His eyes dimmed. "Speak! Matthew, no matter what it is, I'm willing to let go and give it a try." Zoey was so excited that tears welled up in her eyes. "Have a baby." Matthew took a deep breath, looked at Zoey, and continued, "The only way is to have a child with Blaine. A sibling's umbilical cord blood has a 25% chance of matching, while the success rate between other relatives is only 1 in 100,000. Zoey was shocked by Matthew's idea. She looked at Matthew, who had a serious expression on his face. "Matthew, don't joke with me." "Zoey, you know I wouldn't joke with you about something like this." Zoey's thoughts were a jumbled mess. How would this ever work? To have another child? With Blaine? That was not something that could be done easily. The relationship between the two of them was already very complicated. Blaine didn't even know about Max, and for good reason. Max had been threatened the moment he was born. How would this child be any different? Zoey shook her head. Just thinking about it made her somewhat afraid. She did not approve of this decision. For a child, it was selfish. For her, it was difficult. But for Blaine, it was even more harmful. Matthew held Zoey's cold hand and said, "Don't make a decision yet. Think about it seriously, but..." At this point, he pursed his lips. "If you decide, then the sooner the better." Zoey nodded with difficulty. "All right, I'll think about it." Her heavy heart instantly became chaotic.
Zoey's world has been turned upside down. Max's unexpected health crisis has brought to light a desperate solution: having a child with Blaine, the man who broke her heart. The possibility of giving her son a fighting chance is a glimmer of hope, but the emotional and logistical hurdles are immense. Can Zoey overcome her anger and hurt to pursue this risky path? Will Blaine even consider such a proposition, especially considering the danger it would pose to a potential child? And what will become of Max while they grapple with this impossible decision? Hi, Zoey here. If you are wondering what happens next, then download the Pocket FM app and listen to the exciting episodes of Rekindled Heartache now.